is Tracy from salontraining.com. We're so excited to have you here today. We're with John from Shop Talk, correct?
Yep, Shop Talk podcast.
So I don't know a lot about you. We're just kind of learning each other, which I'm so excited because I know so many people have wonderful, things to say about you.
Thank you.
For those of you who are just watching and you don't know what salontraining.com is, I'm going to show you that real briefly, and then we'll get into our conversation today. So salontraining.com is there we go. Okay, salontraining.com is a platform for the beauty industry professionals who are looking for all kinds of different things. So if you're looking for education and you're wanting someone to help you, you can come right here to our trainer category. If you know their name, you can go in and type that directly, and you can find different trainers' emails, Facebook, social media links, all that kind of stuff. If you're just looking for someone to teach you on hair cutting or coloring or podcasting or business, you can type that in here and you can read all about them and see their social media links as well. If you're looking for in-person classes, you can choose this. If you're looking for virtual, there, and also our library, which is where this will be stored afterwards and also on YouTube. We all know that so many people are looking for jobs, or hiring for jobs. People are looking as well. You can go in through here and look through all of our jobs. And also, if you're a salon that is, all you have to do is go in and add a listing, and that will show up for you. Shows, products, marketplace. There's so much to salontraining.com. But I want to jump into our interview today because it's such a great topic. We talked about the company culture. Right. That is huge. So tell us a little bit about who you are, what company you have. Let's start with that.
First of all, my name's John Palmieri, and Tracy, thanks for having me on your show. Appreciate it. I am the Director of Business and Leadership Development for the Salon 124 Group. We're a company of 6 hair salons and a cosmetology school outside Greater Atlanta. We also have a podcast called Shop Talk by 124 Go, and we have a coaching consulting company called 124 Go for the beauty industry. So podcast, consulting, and the day-to-day operations of 6 salons and a cosmetology school.
So you are definitely busy.
Wicked busy, as we say.
So how did you name that? What is 124 Go? What is the purpose behind the name?
Well, 124 Go started off with several partners. Christopher Soulame was one of our partners. He's off to different things now. But Brian Perdue, the owner of Salon 124, and myself, we're all people that have been in the industry for quite a while. And I think we all could relate to the pains and turmoil that comes sometimes with salon and spa ownership, right? It's a lot of work. It takes a lot out of you. There's a lot of things we need to learn as stylists and hairdressers and estheticians along the way of how to better run a business, not only for our own sake, but for the sake of our teams, right? And the 3 of us were just like, how do we give back to an industry that's done so much for us? How do we help other salon and spa owners, do well? And because we have a heart for them, because they're us, right? We are the same people. And so 124 Go started out as a coaching and consulting company to help salon and spas and other people in the beauty industry run better businesses, again, for themselves and for the benefit of their teams.
When you said that, it made me think of something. I think we're all different breed. Have you heard that before too?
Yeah.
My husband will go out and say, like, how do you know that they're a hairdresser even before you see? I can tell by the way they walk, how they look, their demeanor, and most of the time that they are. I think we kind of all know that part.
Yeah. It's almost like we can smell it on each other, right?
Yeah.
Hairdresser, I saw one there,
Absolutely.
and we're instant friends. Isn't that interesting, right?
Yep.
As soon as you meet another stylist, you're instant friends.
Absolutely.
And again, we are each other. How do we support and grow each other for the benefit of the industry as a whole, right?
I don't like sharing personal information, but I do want to just touch a little bit on something that we talked about before our call that I thought was beautiful. I had said, we're going to be doing this, and I don't know a whole lot about you yet. A lot of the other people I have a relationship with, and I said, we can do this. But I'm just learning, what your podcast is about and stuff. And I said, well, why would you want to do this interview? Like, what are you going to get out of it? What's your goal? What's your mission? Because I like to ask that with all of my guests, like, do you have a mission? And you said, you know what? I am here to support the beauty industry, no matter what that looks like. And I think that's just so beautiful. And it's not,
thanks.
None of us have to get anything out of something. We can be there truly to help people. And I think that's so beautiful of you. And I know I got to see you a little bit at Mentors and Masters recently, which was such a fabulous event. So if you haven't got a chance to go to one of those ever,
Yes.
sign up next year, right? It was
Yeah, you
fabulous.
have to go. It's a great event put on by Nikki Lee and Gino and obviously Iva. And it's just a great opportunity for industry people to connect and help each other out. So it was
Absolutely.
awesome.
And so what is company culture? Like, what does that look like to you? Because I love that topic more than probably anything.
Well, I think when we talk about company culture, it's kind of like a buzzword in the industry right now, right? Company culture, company culture, company culture. And, in the end, what does it mean? To me, it means creating a sense of belonging for your team. How do I know I belong here, right? How do I know this is my place? These are my people? Because one of the things I know is, and we've heard this from different salon and spa owners, employee retention's a tough deal these days. It isn't always easy to keep people, right? For a host of reasons, right? Sometimes it's leadership issues, sometimes it's culture issues. I don't fit, I don't belong. Sometimes it's I'm not making enough money here, right? How many times have you heard a stylist or esthetician or massage therapist say, yeah, it was a really nice place, but it wasn't my vibe, right?
Right.
And
Right.
I think that, one of the things we forget is we have two customers whenever we open a business. We have what we refer to as the external customer, which is the person walking in the door giving us money, right? But we also have the internal customer, our team, our staff, our managers, our support teams. How do we build a welcoming place for them so not only can they want to stay, right, have that employee retention we want, but that they can grow and prosper and help perpetuate our business and keep it going.
Mhm. I don't know about you, but I know my dad had brought us up to you work hard, you give every moment of your day to
Right.
working for what you want. And people stayed in jobs back in the day. Like
Hmm.
when you hired, in the mines, the coal mines or the beauty industry, you went there and you stayed and you toughed it out. And
Right.
but that's not the way it is anymore. I mean, people want
Yeah.
to be in a place that they feel loved and natured and can
Mhm.
grow. Do you agree?
Yeah, I mean, the salon, I had my own salon for, 25 years. Short story, I met my wife working in the consulting business, so I moved to where she lives, which is in Georgia, which is how I got to Georgia. And I was lucky enough to get to work with a man named Brian Perdue, the owner of our company. And I have to tell you, it was all about culture, right? And I tell the story about me leaving my company, my team, my family, right? Because that's what I did. I was in Massachusetts, and I have to go find a new family. I needed to find a place where I belong. And, for Brian as well, you're bringing a gentleman in who's been in the business for 25 years. That can both be a good thing and sometimes a bad thing, right? Because I bring my own habits, my own way of doing things. And I'm sure just as important for him that I fit the company culture as it was for me. Do I fit the company culture? Is this a place I belong? Is this a place where I can grow? Is this a place where I can prosper and do well? And so I'm an internal customer as well, right? So whether it's me looking for a place where I can help grow, right? Or if we've got customers coming in, we as owners and leaders have to understand we have two sets of customers, both the external and, as I said, the internal customer.
And I think it's just a I'm sitting here thinking of this story.
Mhm.
Whenever I was a owner for the very first time, I had no idea what I was doing in the business. I
Right.
knew, how to get people behind the chair and
Mhm.
start to satisfy clients to no end. Like I was great with that.
Right.
But when it came to team members, it was all about like, well, how many hours can you do? And
Right.
how many next people can you do? And that was my mentality at the very beginning because I had a lot of bills at the very
Mhm.
beginning and I didn't know what I was doing. And I went through a very big cycle at the very
Yeah.
beginning. People were going out. And then when I started to realize, like, I wasn't even compassionate about, that their kid was sick,
Right.
it just, it was all business, business, business. And then whenever I started to be in it for a year or two and taking
Mhm.
some business classes, and I said, oh my gosh, I'm like horrible. I wouldn't want to work for
Right.
myself. And I had
Mhm.
to step back
Yeah.
and say, how can I make this the best place where they want to stay? And that was taking more educational classes on how to be good to my team members.
Right.
And that changed my business entirely. Like
Yeah.
it was way more fun to be at work for them and for
Sure.
myself. And you have to realize people that have children are going to take off work because their children are sick.
Right.
People that have a wife or a husband that is going through cancer, unfortunately, you
Mhm.
have to be there for them. I mean,
Right.
it can't just be they're not a walking paycheck for you.
Right.
They deserve more.
Right. Well, there's the challenge in that we ask for loyalty, but we're not necessarily willing to give it back. right?
Right.
And so, if I want team members to be supportive of our company culture, our company as a whole, then we need to be supportive of them. It's a two-way street. You don't get to take without giving a little back, right? And
Absolutely.
sometimes you have to give a little more back to get that return. And you bring up an interesting point. We spend a lot of time going to haircutting classes, coloring classes, new skincare, new massage techniques, fillers, injectables, all the new products, right? We learn all the coolest, newest things as soon as they come out, right?
Yep.
And yet we don't take the time to learn management skills, to learn people skills, to learn HR skills, to learn leadership skills. And I'm going to say management skills because leadership and management are two different things, right? But we don't take the time to learn that because we think that's boring or it's not that important. And I'm going to say that's probably the biggest mistake we make is we don't put as much effort and energy on being able or getting training for our internal customers as we do for the external ones that we see every day.
Absolutely. I even think that stylists now should take business classes, even if they don't run
Oh,
the
absolutely.
business, because it will change so much in their behind the chair business, whether they are paid commission, hourly,
Right.
booth rent, whatever. I mean, it is definitely important.
Yeah, however whatever compensation model you decide fits you, right? And I use that word purposely, right? Because for some people, a chair rental or suite rental is the best thing for them, right? And for other folks, a commission environment is the best thing for them. And for other people, a team-based pay or hourly pay commission program is the best thing for them, right? And sometimes seasons in life change, and what might be a good compensation model for you now may be different 10 years down the road. But here's the thing, no matter how you get paid, whichever of those three models you still use, you're still growing a clientele, a guest count behind the chair or behind the table, right? Either one.
Yeah.
And all of those things take business skills. I find it really interesting that I think one of the things we spend a lot of time on, because we hear it on Instagram, we hear it on the reels, we see it on TikTok. We spend a lot of time talking about what we shouldn't have to do, right?
True.
You shouldn't have to do this, and you shouldn't have to do this, and you don't have to do that. I don't hear enough of, but what you should be doing is this, what you could be doing is that. I'd like to think that I'm not in the business of the lowest common denominator, right? I'm not trying to scrape by. I'm not trying to do the least amount, right? I'm trying to be the best. I want to be the best in my industry. I want to be the best in my salon. I want to be the best in my spa. I want to be the best in town, right? Being mediocre for me, anyways, isn't necessarily something I want to achieve, right? Because I can do that by just waking up.
Yes, I agree. So that goes back to the culture.
Mhm.
When you go in to hire someone immediately, they should
Yeah.
know the culture, correct?
Yeah, we have the blessing of having a cosmetology school. So one of the things we do, in fact, I go into the school and I teach a class to our freshman students. They've been in the building literally 5 days, right? It's day one of their second week. And on day one of their second week, we spend almost an entire day going over core values and the culture of our company. And not necessarily the core values and culture of our company, right? I mean the core values and the culture of the school as a company, right? Because it is a separate entity. And we spend a lot of time on that. And we spend a lot of time on that because it's important. When people come in, one of the things we hear from our students all the time is I'll ask them, did you tour other schools? And about 75% of every starting class, and our starting classes are 20 people. So 15 to 16 of those people in the room will say, no, I knew it when I walked in the door. I knew it as soon as I came here that this is where I wanted to be. I could tell from the people. I could tell from the smile on their faces. I talked to the educators. I don't know what it was. It just felt right, right? And that doesn't happen. It happens by itself, but it doesn't at the same time, right? We don't program it that way. It's not like there's something in the air and if you breathe it in, you're just going to behave like this, right? But we do spend a lot of time talking about our values, talking about our culture, why this is important, and how all of us have to be accountable to that, because if we're not, then we don't have a culture, right?
Absolutely.
So
So what is one of your main things in your culture that you can say, like, hey, this is one or two of my particulars that they have to have Like mine is,
Well,
they definitely have to be compassionate. Like they have to
yeah.
work.
Well, I'll use the school specifically since that's where we start, right?
Okay.
The salon has slightly different core values, not completely, but it's a couple different ones. But let's talk about the school for a minute because that's where we start. And I always think it's important where you start, right? So our core values at the school are teamwork, artistry, family, fulfillment, integrity, and excellence. And if we go through that list real quick, teamwork is something we teach because it's important. It's a school. We're here to learn from each other and help each other. Artistry, well, it's a hairdressing school, right? We're here to be cosmetologists. If artistry isn't part of the process, then what are we doing here, right? Family, and I want to talk about family for a quick second. Family, I think, is really important to understand is a two-way street, right? And what I mean by that is family does things for you, right? When I was growing up, my family, my parents put food on the table, right? I had a warm bed to sleep in. I went to school every day. I had toys at Christmas or my birthday, right? There was the things that come with being a family. But family also meant I had responsibilities. I had to take out the trash. I had to clean my room, right? I couldn't knock my brother around as much as I did, right? It's a two-way street, and I think we forget that. Family isn't just what can I do for you. It's, well, you have to support the family as well, because without support from both sides, it doesn't work. Next on our list is fulfillment. Fulfillment is what fills you up inside, what warms you up, what fills your cup. It's different for everybody. Integrity. And for us, integrity means doing the right thing even when no one is looking. That's our definition, right? And then excellence. I mean, come on. If you're not doing the best you possibly can, if you're just phoning it in, then do you really expect to build a client list that way, right? Do you really expect other people to want to work with you when they know you're just, half-assing it? No one wants that. So those are our 6 core values at the school. They're really important, and we spend a lot of time on those core values. And I want to say this because this is really important. You don't necessarily have to have the same 6, right? We're not building clones here, right? You may have different values than I have. That's okay. What's important is that you know that these are the ones we think are important, right? These are important to our school. And if you can buy into that, great. Even if they're not all the same. You know what, John? I'm not a big fan of teamwork, but I'm okay with it. I can live with it. I can roll with it. Great, then we're good. But it's that understanding of this is who we are as a culture, right? This is who we are as a team. This is who we are as a family. And either A, you say, this is where I belong. This is perfect. Or you say, you know what? This doesn't feel right for me. This doesn't fit. Because I'll bet you for every person that came in the door to the school and said, oh, this just feels right. I can just tell. There was somebody who walked in the room and said, you know what? This ain't doing it for me. And that's okay. I'd rather have that opportunity at the front door, which says, you know what? I don't belong here. Neither good nor bad. It just doesn't fit me. And not have to go through the pain and agony of trying to conform to something that doesn't really where I belong or really where I fit.
I definitely agree to that. Sometimes
Yeah.
we hire just out of desperation, and I know people are hiring right now too, but if you do not go back to those core values that
Right.
you have, sometimes I think you're going to regret it of just filling that chair. Just
Right.
they're out there. The
We're
people
just
that are
hiring
out
warm. We're just hiring warm bodies.
there. Yep.
And that isn't what we want to do, right? One of the things that happens at our company is, Brian, who's the owner of our company, he sits with every single and we've got 150, 160 employees in our company, right? 6 locations, a school. Brian sits with every new stylist that's going to go on the floor. He interviews every single one of them. And because he is the flag bearer, he is the person who set the tempo for what those core values are going to be, right? And he wants to talk to you. He wants to, what are your values? What's important to you? Because again, he wants to make sure that fit works both ways. This is the right place for you, and you're the right person for us.
I always share the one thing that Gino taught me the one time about hiring.
What's
He
that?
said, drop a pen, just drop it by accident. He said, and see if they go to lean to pick it up.
Yeah.
That if they sit there like, they're probably not your people.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know,
love that.
team member, like that was definitely one that I used quite often in my salon, because you
Right.
do, like, you can immediately tell if they're going to be that compassionate
Mhm.
leader, you know, type of person, if they're going to be.
Right.
So,
Yeah, so anytime you get to highlight your core values of your company, it's always a great thing because there are people that are going to be attracted to that, right? There are people that are going to say, I don't know anybody there, but what I see out in the world says I want to go work for that company. I want to work with those people because I feel like I fit.
absolutely. And
Yeah.
if someone out there is watching right now that is a student or coming into the industry, I love the
Mhm.
fact that you had mentioned, you know, have you interviewed anybody else? I think that goes for everything, whether it is a
Mhm.
school or a business
Right,
or, you know, a job. Go in and interview some places.
right.
Call on the phone. How do they talk to you on the phone? Are they really rushed and
Yeah,
you know, sound terrible, or did they take time? Like, how do you want to be treated as a customer is
right,
probably how they're going to treat you as
right.
a team member as well. So,
And a key point is you're right, because I'm an internal customer or hopefully going to be one. Am I being treated with the respect and the concern that I would want for any one of my customers? Because if they're not treating me that way, then how is it going to be when my customers come in the door, right? And again, I think that sometimes um, salon and spa owners miss that point, right? That the way you treat your team is very much going to be reflected on how the team treats your customers because you're leading by example, right?
right.
Well, that's how you treat me. I just thought that's how it was supposed to be. And the answer is no, it's not how it's supposed to be. We expect better than that, right?
I don't mean to be talking about myself, but all
That's all
these
right.
different things like are bringing up different things that happen throughout the year. I
Sure.
remember whenever team members used to come and talk to me, and whenever I would come into my salon, I would
Yeah.
have to get like the orders done or da 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 da, and I would have, as any owner or business,
Mhm.
you have to get a lot of things accomplished in your day. And
Mhm.
so when you have a team member coming to you, a minute you walk in the door and say, "Hey, I don't know where this is," and the next person comes in
Yeah.
and you can't even focus, like, hey, I had to start doing something that I thought was kind of against my culture. My
Right.
culture was listening to the employees whenever they had an issue. But I had to say, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and book this about 15 minutes to have this conversation in
Mhm.
about 5 minutes if after I can get this one thing done.
Yeah.
Is that okay? Or is it an emergency? And at first it felt like they were kind of, oh gosh, she doesn't want to talk to me. But it Intel did very, very good for our culture. Is don't try to talk when someone else is doing a million other things because it doesn't go in. It doesn't,
Right.
you know, to set that time with that employee because their concerns are very, very important.
Right. And the other thing too is, I love that where it's like, hey, look, Tracy, I got to get this done, but you know what? It's like 10:30. Let's meet back at 10:45, and I'll be glad to sit and talk with you, right? And now
Absolutely.
it's like, oh, okay, I'm important enough, right, that Tracy's going to set aside time with me, and yet I've also learned as a person doing the interrupting, Tracy's got things going on, right? And when we talk about family, isn't that what we're talking about, right? We're talking about there's responsibilities as well as the benefits.
Mhm.
One of the things I think we forget about too, as business owners, is we forget, and this is going to sound kind of silly, but the look that's on our face, right?
True.
Because when that person walks up to you, right, and you're in that mode, right? So Tracy, you got stuff I got to get done. You've walked in the room. You got that mental list going on in your head,
Yep.
and then one of my staff would walk up to me and say, "John, is everything okay? Are you upset?" I'm like, "Oh, why would you think I was upset?" Because
Mhm.
your face says you are, right?
True.
And you have to remember when I walk around the room, I have to consciously put a smile on my face, right? And I know that sounds dumb, but
No.
here's the deal. All that stuff that's in your head that you're working out, that's great. Continue to do that. But your face says you're pissed off,
Yep.
right?
Absolutely.
And so your team's afraid to walk up to you because, look, looks like John's in a mood. I'm not going to go interrupt him now, right?
Yeah.
Be conscious of your demeanor because yes, we need to get those things done. And yes, it's important to run that mental list. And yes, you've got a to-do list that's a week's worth of work long, but don't let that show up on your face. Remember, these are customers, right?
You know what? I wish I would have heard that last week because my last week was just a crazy, like
Yeah,
absolutely just a crazy week with so many different things on my plate. And
right.
that happens as owners and stuff. But
Sure.
I probably showed my husband that face at some point. So,
Trust me,
so
we all do it, right? I come home and my wife sees that face sometimes, right?
yep.
And isn't that awful that we can put that face on for our teams, and yet the most important people in our lives, we forget, right?
Absolutely.
Because at the risk of getting really silly, my wife's a customer too, right?
True.
You
Right.
know, she's an internal customer. I know this sounds dumb, but I want to make her happy, right?
Not dumb at all. That's
And just as much as she wants to make me happy, right? It's family. It's a two-way street, right? We both get the benefits of being, a husband and wife couple, or we're a team, we're together, we enjoy each other's company, right? But at the same time, we have responsibilities to each other, right? It's not just one way. And yeah, you have to remember that when you walk in the door, you know what? Try to put at least a half a smile on your face,
so
right?
there you have it. You have marriage 101 from
That's
John.
right. But it's all the same in the end. They're all internal customers, right? They're the people we interact with, we care the most about, and yet oftentimes we take their emotions, their days, we don't take them with the respect and honor that they deserve just as much, right? And I promise you, you will get it back in return.
You
I
will.
promise you.
You
Yeah.
will.
Yeah.
All right. So before we finish up, let's hear about what Shop Talk is. You have a podcast.
Yeah, we have a podcast. It's called Shop Talk. One of the things I'll say is if you're going to do the search in the podcast app, whatever podcast app you use, do Shop Talk by 124Go. And the reason I say to search for it that way is there's lots of shop talks. There's one for carpenters, there's one for an auto mechanic, there's one for a barber shop. There's like 12 different shop talks.
Okay.
So you'll know ours. It's got a big blue and white logo. Actually, it's on the wall behind me, right?
Nice.
So that's what the logo looks like. Yeah, we have what we would call an education or teaching podcast. Our podcast is all about supporting salon and spa owners, how to help them grow their business. We've got listeners from cosmetology students all the way up to senior stylists to, again, business owners, because all of us need to know how to run a better business. And whether you're a person just coming out of cosmetology school or a business owner that's been in for 30 years, we interview people that have done it, that are successful at it, and share their knowledge with our listeners.
That's great. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I thank you so much. And what we'll do is we will put the link to the Shop Talk right in
Thank you.
this so that people can find it a lot easier. So
Yeah, thank you. Tracy, thanks for having me on the show today. I really appreciate it.
thank you. And sorry, one last thing.
Yeah.
So you also do coach different salon owners as well.
Yeah, we have a coaching and consulting company. It's called 124go.com is where you would find it. And yeah, for salon and spa owners who are looking to spend more time on leadership, spend more time on finance, spend more time on culture, spend more time on just growing their companies in general, we have both online programs that you can do on your own and also live coaching that we do one-on-one with our customers. So just go to 124go.com. If you want more information, just put your name and email in there. We'll reach back out to you. But yeah, we're a great little company that specializes in salon, spa, leadership, and culture.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so much for today.
Thanks, Tracy.
I'll talk to you later. Have a great day, everyone.
You got it. Bye-bye.
Bye.